So here at the show at Newport, we're unveiling our first subwoofers designed here in the U.S. from the new design facility from ELAC. We're calling the company ELAC America. It's being headed by the folks in Germany, or owned by the folks in Germany, and myself and Andrew Jones are working there, and this is the first line of products to come out of that new design facility. This line of subwoofers here is called the Debut Series subwoofers. We have 3 different models. We have an S10, which is more of a traditional subwoofer. It's a 10-inch downward firing driver with a 100 watt RMS, 200 watt peak bass amplifier, and it's a traditional subwoofer. It sounds great. It has traditional manual controls for low pass filter, phase. It has just your LFE, but it's a basic subwoofer, but it sounds great. And it's going to be at the $249 suggested retail price point. Now these two subwoofers are a little bit different. They look more conventional, however they have some very unique features. Probably the first thing you'll notice here, key is on this 10-inch model here. This is the S10 EQ, is that if you look at the back, there's absolutely no controls whatsoever. There is an LFE input and a power jack. And the reason for this is we wanted to kind of change the way subwoofers were being done. And this was actually pioneered from the folks in Germany, is that subwoofers have been the same way forever. And one of the most difficult items to set up in a home theater system is the subwoofer, because we all know the best way to do it is to move the sub around the room and find the best location to eliminate room modes and everything. But we all know that's usually not practical, and it gets placed where it's most convenient. So we wanted to utilize a way to be able to fix most of those problems that are associated with it. So this S10 EQ right here has a 200 watt RMS and a 400 watt peak bass amplifier, but without any controls. And the S12 EQ is a 12-inch subwoofer with a 12-inch downfiring passive radiator. The 10S has a 10-inch passive radiator as well, with a 500 watt RMS and a 1,000 watt peak amplifier. They both are designed for home theater use or music. We decided to go with the passive radiator to deliver the bass performance somebody would want for a movie, while still not delivering any type of chuffing noise you get from having a traditional vented port on both of them. But getting back to the fact there's no control. So what we've done is both subwoofers incorporate a Bluetooth low energy 4.0 radio, and that's where the controls come from. So we have an app that's available for both iOS and Android devices called ELAC Sub Control. If I launch the app, and because it's a low energy version, the Bluetooth 4.0, there's no pairing necessary. As soon as I launch the app, I can see that it says the Sub 2050 is ready. I launch it, and there's my control. I have my traditional volume up and down. I have 4 different DSP modes, but I can also go into setup and get my traditional things like my low pass filter. I can choose my center frequency for the low pass filter. I can go back and go to my traditional phase adjustments, and these are replacements for the traditional analog stuff, my auto on off. I also have a parametric EQ where I can adjust my center frequency, adjust the bandwidth of it, and adjust the individual gain at that frequency. But probably the coolest thing about this is the auto EQ feature. So what we wanted to do is, like I mentioned, is to be able to solve most of the problems when you end up putting the sub where it's most convenient, not where it probably should be placed. So we're actually going to calibrate the subwoofer by using the microphone in this iPad, or you can do it with your Android phone or your iOS device. Now most people would think, well, how's that going to work because the microphone is an unknown device? Well, one of the things we've discovered is we know the near field response of all of these woofers. So what it's going to first do is ask you to place your portable device within 1 foot of the subwoofer, and you're going to hit the analyze button, and that's actually going to calibrate the microphone. It's going to play back 16 predetermined frequencies that we know how they should be measured, bring them into the phone or the iPad, compare them with they should be, and make compensation and adjust and calibrate the microphone. We'll start that right now by hitting analyze. And you get a nice visual description of what's happening as well. Hearing some of those that the room was pretty lively in here from a lot of vibrations. So now that the microphone's calibrated, I'm going to choose next, and now it's going to ask you to go sit in the listening position. So I would move, sit to my listening position with the device, and I would then run the analysis again, and now it's actually going to calibrate the actual subwoofer using DSP. So we're going to choose next, and now you get a really nice display showing you the microphone calibration, what it measured, and then it'll show you the EQ filter that was applied to eliminate things like remotes and everything, and get the most out of your subwoofer when you're going to place it where it's usually most convenient. But it's just a great way of kind of bringing subwoofers into the 21st century by eliminating analog controls and taking advantage of the smart devices and all the capabilities of them. The S10 EQ version, which is the 10-inch driver with the 10-inch passive radiator and the 200-watt RMS amplifier, is at $499 SRP, and then the 12-inch is going to be at $699 with a 500-watt RMS amplifier, 1,000-watt peak, 12-inch front firing, and 12-inch passive radiator. And they'll be available in September.